Okay, so this is just a quick little instructional slash overview video of how I assembled my Ray rucksack. I used a old army jacket for mine, but I know a lot of people use actual duffel bags or even canvas that they've purchased and they just dye it. But I got lucky and I found a men's sized army jacket that was the color I wanted, and it's a nice thickness, not super thick, but it's good enough for a bag. So I used the pattern from Emerald Bee, her blog. The top flap here I cut out as a square, or a rectangle, sorry, so that when I actually put it on my bag I could see how it sat. Then I cut out this part here. So first of all, I used some canvas straps, canvas belts that I got from an op shop. These are actually two different belts. Obviously you can see it's slightly different colors, but this was actually a lighter color than this originally, and I painted it a bit and it actually went a little bit dark, but that's okay. Once you wear it you actually can't notice it. So what I did was I cut the ends off so that it became just a strap. Then I prepared my buckles. So this is just a plain black buckle I got from eBay for a couple bucks. And what I do for weathering, I actually use silver spray paint, spray a little bit into a bowl or a plate, get a dry brush, and then get it. So it actually uses less paint, and therefore you don't get like too much. If you're a bit heavy handed to start off with, it's hard to do that with spray paint. So that's what I did with that one. Then I got, for the top buckle, it's called a D-ring carabiner, and you just get, I think I got 4 of them off eBay for $7 or something, and they actually unclip like that. So you can unclip and clip your top strap on and off if you need to. The bottom one is a roll pin buckle. Now you can find really expensive ones on eBay. They're like $300 and something. This was not that much. There's no way I'm going to spend $300 on a roll pin buckle. This was only, I think, $14 including shipping, because it had to come from the States or something. But it's actually quite heavy. It's a full metal one. It was black, as you can probably see. And I just did the same thing with spray paint and a little bit of normal paint. Just dry brushed it to make it look a bit worn, a bit rubbish. This one is just a rectangular single pin. I can't remember what they're called. I'll put the links down below. But I just got this off eBay for a couple bucks as well. It actually isn't attached properly like it's supposed to be, because it's actually really tight. So at one point I'm going to get a big one and do that properly, but at the moment it just looks like a fake one, as you can see. So it's just there for show, really. So what I did first, and also this here is just a wash bag from Woolies that I bought, or a brow bag, whatever you want to call them, and it's doubled over. And what I did, I just chopped it up, measured it to the size that I wanted, sponge painted it with a brown acrylic on both sides, because obviously I was doubling it over, and that was it. Easy. Took like a few minutes. So what you want to do first is you want to get your front panel here, and you want to get your buckles, and you want to sew a little bit of the strap to it where you want it to sit. Sits in, it's not halfway, it's about, quarter way in, however you want it to sit. And you want to sew the bottom of your buckle on. Best way to do it is just to do it like that to start off with, just so you don't have bits joining up without getting sewn on. It gets really confusing. So that's what you want to do. You don't want to sew this part on yet until you actually sew it to this part. So just leave that off. So what you'll have is your front panel with your buckle and your strap. Put that aside. Next, you want to get your sides. So I did this as Emerald Bee, her pattern is, so it's 3 separate pieces. In the movie, if you want to be more screen accurate, it was 1 big piece, but my jacket didn't allow for that. So I did 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3. Now the seams are on the outside, so you just put them together like that. So the inside bits together, outside bits facing out, and just sew it. Sew it there, so you have 1 big strip. Put that aside. next you want to do the flap. So you want to do the top part, then you want to do the front flap. Now all of my pieces are double except for this little side bit here, just because I wanted a little bit of extra strength. You can do single if you want, or you can do double, it doesn't matter. I think double is good because I use this as an actual bag, not just for show, so it does hold together really well. Anyway, moving on. Sew this part to your front, so you've just got your flap and the top part. Now next you want to get your flap, and you want to get your front part here, and you want to just line this top part up with the top part of this so that you can line up your strap. Okay, so next you want to cut a bit of your belt that's long enough to go over the top and over the front. Okay, so mine is a little bit longer here, just to take into consideration the seam that sticks out. So it kind of, it's not sewn at that point, it just kind of flops over, I guess. So you want to sew it here, dun 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 dun, leave a little bit so it's not so what do you call it, bunched up. Then you sew it down the front, always pinning because it just, this stuff can get a bit slippery. Then you want to just line it up so that this sits along the top of your bottom part and everything lines up. So now you should have your side pieces sewn together, your top flap sewn together, your buckle and strap here, buckle and strap here. Unbuckle it if you want to, because you know it's easier to do it that way for now. And then what you want to do before you sew all of this together, you need to sew this on, otherwise you're not going to get it on. So you get this piece of strap. This is a little bit bunched here, but that's okay. It's actually quite strong, so when you carry it, it's not going to come apart. So just want enough that it goes from this point up here, loops through. You can take that out, you don't have to have your buckle on there for now. Just make sure that there's enough room in your loop there to get it through. Okay, then okay, yeah. Then next on your side bits, you want to sew this on first before you get there. Actually, no, ignore that. Don't sew that on yet. I did that right at the end because you actually need to sew it together first. So this part here, don't sew this on until absolutely last. So with my seam allowance, I pretty much just lined it up with the side of my sewing foot. Just went along like that. I think it's about 1 centimeter. Might be different on everyone else's, but I did a bit, it's about 1 centimeter. So what you do is you get your side pieces first. You've also got your back piece here, so don't forget your back piece. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to pin it all the way along, then pin it, then you kind of like, you know, go around the corner and around the corner. So with these pieces here, you really have to squish the edges in when you're doing it. Okay, so you have to squish those edges in. So what's a good place to start is just do these sides. Go down that way, go down that way. Then make sure you're doing that, lie that flat, you're not pinching anything when you sew. Do that. Then you do the sides, sides, pinch that together, there. Sides, sides. Okay, so then you're pretty much almost done with the actual bag part. Then you want to get your little side pieces here that kind of keep everything from falling out. It's really good. And you want, and it's a little tricky. See how I've not quite sewn all the way up to the top? That doesn't matter. I mean, it's unless you've got bobby pins flying around in there, you've got more trouble in there. So you just pin that, pin that, pin that, and you just do it again. So see, I've doubled over on that one. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-dun. But yeah, make sure you push those corners in like that. And that's probably why you won't sew all the way up to the corner. It's okay if you don't. It's not a big deal. Do it on the other side. Now with your strap, on the back of your, what do you call it, belt, is extra material from jacket or your canvas, whatever you're using. I had to do several pieces because I didn't actually have one big long piece that I could cut out. So you get that, and you, oh look at that, I've still got a pin there, that's helpful. Spare pin, always need one of those. And then you just sew it onto the back of your belt. I just followed along the ridge line here on my belt. I know people are using the Enfield rifle slings, and they've got the same kind of thing, so you can sew along the ridge and then you can't really see that. Then what you want to do is you want to slide this on before you sew anything else, otherwise you're not going to be getting that on there. Then you'll want to sew this end bit, loop that around. I trimmed that a bit at the end there so I could fold it around and sew it together there so that it will then go through the carabiner. So this part actually goes through this little slot here. Okay, if you can see it, just through that slot there. So that's why I had to shave it down on the side so that it would actually fit through there. This is a 1-inch D-ring carabiner. I don't think you can get any bigger, but that's what I used. I couldn't find anything bigger, so. And then with the roll pin, you want to loop it around at the end like that. If you're lucky enough to have a bigger one than this, you can then take it up, loop it through there and sew it here. Or like me, I stitched it there. I had to hand stitch this simply because my sewing machine had a fit and wouldn't sew through 2 layers of belt. I don't think it's meant for that. And that's it. And then, oh, I almost forgot. When you're sewing the side bits onto your front bit, you need to have the mesh on there. Otherwise, I don't think it really matters. You can do it later if you miss it like I just did. But you want to put that mesh on there before you sew the side bits on. So just pin it. It's not exactly the easiest stuff to pin because there's nothing to pin. But yeah, just pin it on there so that when you go boom, 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 it catches it on. But honestly, if this bag is not meant to look nice and pretty, it's a bit rough and tumble, as you can see all the frayed ends. I don't think it would matter if you did it later on and just went over your stitching that you already had there, so that you had double stitch. Also would, give a bit of reinforcement, so I don't think it really matters, actually. Also, when you do the flap, if you've got two layers, just do a stitch around this edge so that if it does fray, it doesn't just destroy the entire top flap. And lastly, I think that's it. Lastly, you want to I've just got this webbing just off eBay. It's a similar color to everything else, so that made it easy, but it's just a little bit of extra webbing. I was originally going to use this for the strap, but then when I actually got it, it was way too small and thin, but it actually works really well for this bottom one because it fits through the bottom of the roll pin buckle. So what you want to do is you want to get a long piece, get a bit of a length so you can trim it if you need to. Then just stick it on here. Dun, 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 dun. I've done it along the bottom. I didn't do it along the top, but it doesn't seem to matter, so it's quite strong there. Sew it there, sew it there, sew it there, and then loop it through and sew it along the back there, or front, whatever. And then chop off any excess you've got. Make sure you do a couple of times across because this does fray a bit, that kind of stuff. And I think that's it. There you go. So with this, you can actually use it as a proper bag. You see, mine is actually double layered. It's actually I've used the lining from my jacket, but if you've just got canvas, you can do it double canvas if you need to, or if you have very thick canvas, you don't need to do that at all. Up to you. But yeah, and that is how I put together my Ray rucksack.